basic idea was to kind of encourage citizen action by trying to ignite action against apathy. We all know about the various wrongs which are happening in our country, at least if not the world, as we speak. The corruption that is happening, all the wrongs that are happening. People scamming midday meal money, people scamming money in the name of education, healthcare and everything. And around 5 years ago, we embarked on this journey because we said we need to kind of see how could we kind of create some thought leadership from fellow citizens who are the common people of India, and say that how can we do something which is uncommon for a common cause, which is to come together as one to right every wrong. We started this process and we created a lot of knowledge along the way. In the very first conclave that we did in 2006, 2007, we discussed almost every issue under the sun. I remember one of the panels was on media irresponsibility. And the panel came out so strong that NDTV was our media partner in that year, refused to air the panel. Because they said if we air the panel, people will start saying that we are trying to prove that we are holier than thou. And what has happened recently with Barkadar has proved that there is no holier than thou. But I think there is a state of play which is happening in the state which needs to be addressed, and that may not be addressed by the politicians or the bureaucrats. And we keep pointing fingers at them, little realizing that we are responsible for the state. We are responsible because it's our indifference, it's our apathy which has allowed them to get away with murder, which has allowed them to get away with all the corruption, because we don't ask for accountability. We don't ask for transparency. We never bother to check what's happening with the taxpayers' money. Around the time when we found the Indian Confederation of NGOs, there were 1.2 million NGOs in the country. Around the time when we did the first Right Every Wrong conclave in 2006 or 7, there were 1.7 million NGOs in the country. Today, there are 3.3 million NGOs in the country. One NGO for every 400 people is the statistics. But can you see any change on the ground? I can't. So we keep blaming bureaucrats, we keep blaming politicians, but the NGOs are also not holier than thou. There's a huge NGO government nexus where money is being siphoned out. There are bureaucrats who have NGOs in the names of their wives, mother-in-laws, father-in-laws, fathers, grandfathers. I remember a friend of mine who used to serve with Meera Kumar, used to joke with me that even the peon in the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has 4 NGOs in his name. So what are you talking about the ministers and bureaucrats? Or kya clean up karega? That was a challenge to me. What will you clean up? You can't clean this up. But I accept that I cannot clean it up. I accept that I cannot clean it up. I accept that each of us in our own way may not be able to clean it up. But each of us, if we do a little bit, I'm sure we can clean it up. So along with the Right Every Wrong conclave that we launched 5 years ago, and we kind of kept doing conferences every year, not just to kind of have a place where people network and meet celebrities and high-profile people like what happens in other summits, but we said we need to kind of churn out serious knowledge which leads to action. Because knowledge by itself, without action, is futile. I'm happy to say that a lot of things that we have done have led to action. The second conclave that we did was on climate change, and then we designed various conclaves on climate change for the UN Millennium Campaign, for the Art of Living, and reached out to various citizens, explaining to citizens that don't think only government is responsible for global warming. Each of us has a role in that. If we keep using cars mindlessly, consuming mindlessly, not bothered about the electricity that we use in our homes, then we are also responsible. So we need to look into that. We had a sponsor earlier who had signed on an MOU with us for 5 years, and they kind of pulled out in the third year. In the third year, we did a Right Every Wrong conclave on a very hard issue, which was called electoral reforms. And we tried to do a conclave based on what the theme was important, what we felt was relevant for that particular year. In the third year, we felt electoral reforms was very important because that was the year of 2008. And 2009 was when the elections were held. And the knowledge that we churned out from there through the network, the National Network for India, the Professionals Party of India, who we are involved with to promote good governance, led to a campaign called No Criminals and another campaign called Engage Voters, where we try to educate voters that you need to be careful as to who you vote for, because your irresponsible vote puts the wrong people in the seat. The fourth conclave that we did last year was on the issue of corruption. And that probably gave rise to a whole lot of RTI activists, some of who are here with us today, who have been filing various RTI applications to kind of ensure that no wrong is happening in this country. Whether it's a business house which is kind of taking a contract for metros and kind of quoting much more than what a metro should cost, or other things which are happening in this country, IPLs and the other Watergate scandals which are happening. But a lot of RTI activists and young boys who are 21, 22 years old have filed RTIs and kind of exposed corrupt cases like MET, the land grabbing that they've done, the Vedanta case of the land which was given to Vedanta for just 1 crore. The land is valued at around $6 billion. And there's a stay on that land today. So there is a lot of hope, because I feel that India is young. We have the youth, which is 55% of our population. And probably the youth gets more active in the process of democracy, which means people power, and we seem to have forgotten that. Then probably this country can be brought back onto the track. So that's a little about the Right Every Wrong Conclave. Along with the Right Every Wrong Conclave, every year we have the KARMAVEER Puraskaaar. And if you see our logo, it's basically a human being. It's gender neutral. And we've tried to kind of create a person who goes down and tries to light a candle based on a very old saying, which is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. Which basically is that we all like to say that this is wrong, that is wrong, but what am I doing about it? Why is it that I have an attitude that I cannot do anything? I cannot take the powers to be. Why? We have the power. The citizen is the most powerful in a democracy, but we've forgotten that. And we try to kind of recognize common people who are uncommon and unsung heroes, but who do a lot for a common cause of righting every wrong. So along the way, right from students who are school students who kind of help to save the tiger with the little knowledge they have, or help to kind of rehabilitate a Moga tribe, to people who are selling vegetables on the street and have built hospitals because they lost their husband as he could not get health care. To people who have written stories on them who are here with us today. These are the kind of people we want to recognize through the KARMAVEER Puraskaaar. It is a civilian award. It is for the people, by the people, of the people. Along the way, we've tried not to kind of focus on big chief guests. We are not too pro-mantris and bureaucrats. You must have figured that out by now. But we try to see who are the nice kind of people that we can get involved in this movement and take this movement along. So we lost our sponsor around 3 years ago because we were doing electoral reform. So my sponsor told me, change the subject. Why are you doing something so hard where people will come after you? And we said, well, we're not doing the conclave to kind of do vanilla ice topping and speak what people like to hear. We want to speak what is needed to be spoken, and we lost our sponsor.